form, but for the first time this series, KT Rolster will be on the blue side. They thought the meta would be red side choices like previously. This is their chance to play on blue, and maybe they can avoid some of the pitfalls like giving over Kalista on the blue side.
Yeah, well, Cho'Gath is one of the other ones that's been causing them some trouble so far in this series, so that'll be the first ban. Galio yet again coming through here from Samsung. We'll see how much they want to change things up as they move through, but Galio has been banned by them in both the first games here so far.
Just on a ban usually means first pick Kalista, but we knew that KT would first pick Kalista if it was available. See what Samsung want to do if they leave Kalista open. It is with their eyes open for Samsung Galaxy. Thinking about the picks that have been used so well for Samsung, you can't really ban away all the Ardent Sensor abusers. They've been banning away mostly pocket picks from Core JJ at different parts, but they've also been targeting the champion pool of Crown, and for a third game in the row, they will actually ban away the Cassia.
So Samsung, where do they want to take this one? Tristana's banned away. They'll ban the Kalista, which means that Zac is available for score if they want to snatch this up.
I mean, they lost their last couple of Zac games after some great counter jungling from Blank, so I don't think they're going to be too quick to lock in the Zac. They are prioritizing Taliyah so high, though, with LeBlanc banned away, which was a bit of a nothing Lucian game, but wasn't necessarily a terrible Lucian game by Pawn by any means, so it's surprised to see them prize it so highly. Seems like they don't want to run Orianna. They want to have First Roam, but First Roam hasn't helped them. They had 3 winning lanes and then just made straight up 2v2 laning errors in the previous game. KT will hope they can just say, all right, those mistakes, Smeb solo killed, Mata solo killed, they will not happen a third game in a row. That is something we can rely on. Our mechanics, we at this point have to wait and watch to see what KT we see on the Rift. 2-0 down, 3 match points to Samsung. We'll be going into the Caitlyn, so first time not on the Zyra Khan in a while here.
Snatch that one up as Zyra Khan taken away by Samsung, going for that, and Alistar has made it through the draft, not banned by KT here, and will get picked up by Mata.
Notable that it's not Alistar Thresh, which is what you would expect, given that's what was played in the LCK final by Prey and Gorilla. And of course, Mata's Thresh was played in 4 games against SKT in the semifinal. That'll be the most lane presence. They're going for the Alistar here. Safe lane against Rakan, usually one you can get away with running Alistar. Samsung looking for a pick. The Maokai has been not preferred because they've had the Cho'Gath open time and time again. They'll go back to Cuvé's standby, his most played in the summer season, sorry, in the 2017 season, the Maokai.
I mean, it is possible to see that one going into the jungle for Ambition, but likely for Cuvé. See how Samsung want to approach this as they currently in that second round of the ban phase. Rumble and Syndra taken away, so still a lot of respect shown here by KT Rolster.
You see a Trundle ban, definitely suggesting that it will be top lane Maokai. Probably a Sejuani jungle. I mean, Samsung has been winning these games with 2 super tanks, so why change anything up? Let's go 3 games in a row. Kind of like the opposite of when KT went carry top lane. Samsung tried to copy it in spring season. That was 3-0 KT on the day. And for the final ban here from KT Rolster, solo lanes and jungle to be selected. They'll ban away the Shen, so they themselves thinking that perhaps it will be a Maokai top, a Maokai jungle.
Well, might be finding out here in a second as we see what the mid lane pick is going to be. Taliyah there for Pawn, but it's going to be Orianna for Crown, so going back to an old staple. He said we'll have the shove advantage to Taliyah there early on, but as the Orianna scales up, can definitely go toe-to-toe with the Taliyah.
12 games, most played in summer season on the Ori, 7-5 for Crown on that. As great ball carriers already. Expecting Jarvan to be top lane, but it won't be cemented till now because they're looking for top lane and jungle in this round. Will we see KT pull out a KT special, show us something new? Sejuani would be a takeaway pick. Kind of amazing to see Sejuani picked over Gragas, but that's what happens after the previous game. We're ticking down. Score has played Gragas twice. Will not be playing it a third time. Ambition is a fantastic Gragas player. But they look at the lanes. They try to judge whether it's safe to run the Zac. They answer yes. Another great ball carrier coming through for Crown. And okay, we just take stock of the draft here. For both teams, still going to be good lane control for KT Rolster. Still could be the invading, but it's not invading with Gragas this time, and Sejuani applies a lot less pressure on the invade compared to the Gragas.
All right, well, Zach making it all the way into the end. Does get snatched up here by Ambition. It's a very slow start for him in game number 1, but eventually was able to get the ball rolling. Some of those let's bounces coming through, carrying multiple members to their death, were instrumental for Samsung to pick up that victory. But now they need to try to do it on the red side for the first time here in this series. Maybe that's the transition that KT Rolster so desperately needs to put a win on the board and extend this series to a game number 4, because no team wants to go down 3-0 in a regional qualifier. Not getting to Worlds already a pretty bad thing to have to experience, but getting absolutely crushed while being denied Worlds feels even worse.
And a key member for the side of KT is Smeb, 8-1 on the Jarvan this season. His engage selection has been superb in the summer season. If he gets snowballing, he can crush Orianna or Xayah, maybe even both, depending on the timings. To me, he's the big game breaker, because otherwise, it's going to be super tanks from Samsung and a Xayah hitting those item spikes. The late game team fights are predictable. They have been the same 3 games in a row. So hard to push through the tank line of Zach and Maokai on the side of Samsung, but KT Rolster, it's now or never for them.
I mean, Zach and Xayah, these were 2 of the picks that really helped Samsung begin that reverse sweep versus the Afrika Freaks. Now at match point, 1 more win will punch their ticket to Worlds. They can close it out right here, right now. Let's see if they can do it, or if KT Rolster can extend this series. KT fans trying to share their energy as much as humanly possible here in this moment, as they desperately need it. Absolutely crushed in game number 2, all starting from Mata, playing disrespectfully, getting killed for that first blood, handed over to Core JJ, and everything was just downhill from there.
Laning kills 2 games in a row is the last thing I expected from today, Achilles. The result of 3-0 Samsung, also a bit of an eyebrow raiser, but the mechanics of this team, you may say what you will about Mata in 2016. He had some struggles in China. There were definitely patches of play where he didn't look like his 2014 self, but he has been a lot better, especially in summer season. His Thresh play, a delight for the first couple of games. Played one of the best Thresh games ever against SKT in the first game of the semifinal. Dying in that fashion is so different, so unexpected. KT looking for multi-man invade to contest the Raptor camp. They know it's going to be a topside start from Ambition, and experience is shared. None go to Orianna, but 3 of the little Raptors do go to the Jarvan.
A majority of them there.
We are on patch 7.15, so remember that the Caitlyn nerfs that are in every live and every other patch are not live here. She does not have the reduced damage on the Piltover Peacemaker after the first target, or the late game trap nerfs, so does have very, very strong shoving potential.
Going to be finding the knock up there. Still just trying to chip away at depth and Mata as best as possible. That sustain coming through.
Kiwi's gone very, very respectful with Doran's shield as the start, so mana sustain going to be an issue, but just want to go Doran's shield, stop there from being any early gimmick ganks up the top side with the extra health and the health regen, and can always buy a corrupting potion later if he feels like it's necessary. Could just be a Doran's ring as well, and then go into standard items.
Get the spot out there. On to Ambition. You can see already just on the minimap there, Core JJ starting to cheat around as he had seen Mata roam out of the lane, wanted to make sure that the Zac would be safe to take the blue buff. She will be. He's going to pull the Gromp into the fight.
Squad does have control, faster 2-buff clear with the Permafrost and auto attack on the passive, so able to get Scuttle Cap control, but will not be going for any early ganks. Pushed up in top, pushed up in mid, pushed up in bot lane. It's the dream for most teams in standard lane meta if you're not being punished and you don't have too many expectations of a level 3 Zac shutting you down. That was the case game 2 and some degree game 1. So we're waiting to see if KT can make better use of it here.
Stop on the back there from Crowd. Trying to deny out pawn here while he can.
Mission is not delayed in any sense. Game 1, we saw a bit of a delay. Both junglers playing around the top side and trying to deny camps from coming through. This is much more power farm for Ambition. He'll hit level 4 off his Krug Cam.
Oh, that's going to be the jump in here. Ruler takes quite a bit of damage. Go down to about half HP. Headshots coming through.
What's a time where Alistair Caitlyn could be a kill lane because you could just put the trap under the headbutt, pulverize, and it would arm. But after the nerfs, many moons ago, this is many Caitlyn nerfs ago, well, the mechanic we saw in the final game of the LCK final was the trap down, and then Gorilla would have to flay him into the trap because it arms a lot slower. Not something Alistair can do. Alistair does have the follow-up CC, but cannot actually guarantee the trap stun that Thresh is able to.
You just play the hard mode and you headbutt them into it.
I mean, that would probably involve a flash, but he's already headbutt poled, so he doesn't have the cooldown.
Truly
You're right.
impressive.
There is a fight where you could headbutt someone into a cupcake.
Well, for now, yep, just having that lane pressure, keeping the wave shoved in and building up a decent little CS lead. As Ambition starts wrapping around, those sound scrying plants, they know that he's in the vicinity. So we'll start playing back to be safe.
So weird to evaluate this game, because if game 2 went differently, right? If KT got the first couple of kills, you say, Samsung, how could you drop 3 losing lanes? But it didn't matter, right? Because they were able to get the 2v2 kill, and everything was fine from there. They picked 3 losing lanes again. And it only matters if KT can push the advantage. And not many teams can play the shield to the KT sword and make it work, because Ambition gets interrupted.
Yeah, and then he does. Might have to pop flash, and he does that. We'll go ahead, just jump over the wall, gets himself to safety, but now is going to have to go back to base, so delaying any pathing through the jungle. And also alleviating a bit of pressure with the ganks.
He gets to go bot lane and steal some experience.
Oh, hell yeah, every jungler's dream. So, yeah, only going to tag a couple things there. Not going to be taxing too much, given that Ruler is a bit further behind Deft than where he wants to be. Comes back in with the double long sword to the BF sword, so the trade's definitely still going to be going the way of the Caitlyn. And this is still a bit of a wet noodle fight.
What KT want to do is ward up the red side jungle of Samsung and then make a teleport play when Zac can't react. When Zac's top side killing Krugs for some reason, which is a camp that he'll probably skip a lot because that means he's not able to react around the duo lane, but hold the point.
Entrance coming through down on Tamada. Blade Caller does root him down. Goes in, gets the pulverize, and Core JJ's just going to bail out. So no summoner spells used by Deft or Amada. So the Exhaust and the heal both going to be available.
Headbutt Pulverize into Jarvan, CC, Cataclysm, and also Sejuani. When Zac is topside is the dream that KT is looking for. Zac post 6 can ruin a lot of these ganks with the Kidnap that already has been used and undone the day of KT a couple of times. But the strength of Smeb, building damage and also having engaged CC, is what they want to play around. Here is the 3. They're playing around the top side now. It's going to take away the red buff. Nothing Ambition.
Go ahead and snatch that one up, going for a drive-by with the smite. Almost certainly would have led to his death. So just has to let it go away. In the meantime, Weaver's Wall's going to come through from Pawn, cutting off Crown a bit. A lot of damage off the threaded volley over the wall. Go ahead and start chunking out the Orianna. Let's see how he wants to try to play this one out. It's going to get slowed up, takes so much damage with the flash in. Glacial Prison comes down, and that is going to be first blood going over to KT Rolster.
A really nice one. They didn't have first roam either. It's Mata.
Yeah, flash away there from Ruler with the heal on top of it. Takes him to safety. It's a flash from Mata as well, but a 2-for-1 exchange.
And a preferential trade as well, because you get the 80 carries, longer flash cooldown compared to probably summon spell cooldown reduction from Mata. They keep brawling, even though Skull's ultimate is down. Really nice Weaver's Wall that time. Was able to catch Orianna, and with Flash Cleanse, there was nothing she could do to get away. No Ghost to try to reposition. Bot lane wasn't going to react first. Mata was getting there before Core JJ, so one kill ends up being the result. Crucially, you'll notice, though, that Crown accepted his fate and did not use either of his summoners.
Well, a much better start here for KT Rolster as they kick things off with 1,000 gold lead. See how long they can maintain it, though. Samsung's going to be looking to claw their way back in. But maybe this is the start of the reverse sweep, Pop Smithy. We've had so many of them as of late.
Well, I've seen one kill and pushing lanes. So that's definitely going to be game 1 by KT Rolster. That's my expert analysis.
Perfect. That's why we pay you the big bucks.
Oh, yeah. Look, things are good, but things were good in the draft in Game 2, largely good in the draft in Game 1. So far, there hasn't been any solo kills, so that's for some reason a good news story. Didn't think I'd have to talk about that in this particular match. I left that behind. But calming themselves down. The mentality of KT has often been a question mark, right? We talk about it a lot because there has been games where it looks like things are getting away from them in a way you wouldn't expect the caliber of players that KT are able to field. No more latitude for those sort of brain fades, so important they came in controlled. They'd be happy with their draft as well. Remember, they will not be on the blue side next game. Samsung can just return to the blue side. Things definitely look cleaner for KT, even if the draft isn't necessarily better than previously. They're just happy to not have to deal with the damn Callisto.
Yeah. Over the wall comes Ambition. Try to go ahead and get that Raptor. Won't find it in the meantime. He's going to get locked up. Glitchers coming down. Command Protect. Keeps him alive for the moment. Shockwave drawing in score. He takes the turret shot. They haven't been able to finish him off yet. Massive going to get popped there onto Ambition, but no way to follow up in for the kill, so he'll live. But is severely weakened now, but no kills coming through. As we see just a bit of a skirmish down bot. Ruler taking a bit of damage.
So division up. Makes it so much harder to get those trade kills. They pressure out the passive, but no more. His crown was healthy and able to just throw in the shockwave for damage and dissuade any sort of dive. They could have even had QV teleport on and cancel if necessary, so actually securing the kill was very difficult there for KT.
It's going to be nice and slow at the moment. Still just going to be about a 1.3 thousand gold lead here for KT Rolster just 10 minutes in. Good pulverize going through on a core JJ, but of course Rakan with one of his 1,000 dashes gets himself out to safety.
Not able to contest the control ward to the bottom side here for Samsung. Talia diving is a real threat because Ruler does not have flash up for another minute and a half or so. Talia roaming over will be seen by a myriad of wards at this point. Turret dive play while Ruler's flash was on cooldown would have been lovely, but not engineered so far. Perhaps unnecessary given they're just straight up winning trades and have a bit of a CS advantage. They're focusing on pushing more than denying CS with the Caitlyn, so while they haven't been able to whittle the turret down too low, it is a winning lane for the side of KT.
Decent spot right now. Go ahead and pick up the Scuttle Crab. In a decent position to try to get something like the Ocean Drake, but seems like that's not going to be their goal quite yet. Instead, want to go ahead and clear out some of his vision.
Going for vision.
First of all, it's going to get thrown down, but he did have the flash still available. But flash for the ultimate is going to be quite worth there for KT.
See, one time, loses the passive. Second time, loses the flash. But notice the experience has not been denied. He is still keeping up in levels with the Sejuani. So, while they may be frustrating Ambition, they're not getting massive leads. And now we see him actually contest. I believe that went to score.
Yeah, gets the smite away. Second time he's taken one away from him. There's the Raptor. And that coming through. So, cheeky little play there by Score, just to try to keep himself ahead of Ambition as much as humanly possible.
But if Ambition can keep up an experience and deny turret dives bottom, his job is done, Achilles. That's really all he needs to do. Red buffs being taken away is good from KT. Hell, take some Raptor camps as well. But denying the dive bot lane, the Jarvan teleport bot lane is really all Samsung are asking their jungler to do, and to have a couple of health items in the late game. It's pretty low expectation for what the Zac is going to be able to complete early game. And so far, Smeb hasn't found the famous turret dive bot lane turrets that were so common in spring and the start of summer.
Well, they did find a red buff. Score is waiting outside of vision range, but Ward will spot him out, and he can just go ahead and successfully retreat. Clear it out. Just go ahead and get rid of that vision there in the brush. QV going to be safe for now, and it's keeping up pretty well with Smeb. Only 6 CS behind at the moment.
No kill pressure for a Jarvan on Maokai after a few levels. Ninja Tabi comes in, and from there it's going to be a bit of a farm fest, so getting the CS under turrets, not guaranteed, but obviously has been good for QV. He's been happy to be pushed in. He's been pushed in. Orianna's been pushed in. Bot lane has been pushed in, and it's all to the tune of just a single kill. The Sejuani, after the nice use of the Weaver's War on mid lane, well, it's not the most easing on the eye League of Legends. Very consistent defensive League of Legends like Game 1 for Samsung Galaxy. happy to play the long game again.
Just what I wanted to hear.
There's an LPL game on. You could switch over to LPL 1, and there's probably more action there.
Okay, I'll watch that real quick.
No worries. It's not too much play-by-play here.
That's why we have multi-Twitch.
That's exactly true.
So the viewers can watch both of them simultaneously.
OPL running as well. You know it's the business end of the season when everyone's running finals, but it is finals season.
Start stacking up all of those streams. Got the NALCS final going on this weekend as well as EU.
Sunday night, so should be able to watch that one. Excited for that. Will there be another Rocks Tigers champion if Song is able to lift the cup with the Immortals? Okay. Betting man to say that they will beat TSM, but a possibility.
Speaking of Rocks Tigers, I mean, we might have 2 of the 2016 Rolster members not at the World Championship if KT loses this series.
Might be 3 if Peanut doesn't get a spot. He's very likely, I think, to be the substitute. As bot lane, finally we're seeing some action.
It's very true. Weaver's Wall's coming through. It's going to be shorted a bit, so not going to have the cutoff that they wanted, but Core JJ still feeling the pressure to go ahead and force out the flash, so both bot lane members going to be burning that summoner spell. Score pushing in, just invading onto Ambition yet again. Denying out the Grom.
But denying experience after a point's really hard. He's 1 level behind, probably about half a level ahead at this point for score, but that's all you can really say. And 5 points in Elastic Slingshot means that, you know, Zach doesn't get that much more powerful from here if we're being real. He
just
builds,
tanky.
Yeah, just gets tanky, like you say. Cinder Hulk and he'll BK. A bit more CC in a team fight. Everyone on Samsung will take the long route back to lane. They'll respect the CC. They'll be happy to be pushed in, because pushing lanes, you know, on analyst desks and drafts, we sit there saying, this is the gold standard. Honestly, the draft here from KT, and the reality of it is the gold standard, but it only means something if it leads to the multi-step plan that leads to kills and objectives. They're not even finding the kills and the objectives while being chipped down in a long lane by the Caitlyn, who now has Infinity Edge, is something, but Infinity Edge is not even a turret-destroying build. Going from BF Sword Pickaxe into a Zeal item is usually the preferential push build. This is the more of the roll high, the bless RNG build and try to get a nice big crit on someone build coming through from the Caitlyn. Maybe allowed them to take down a QV or Ambition in a fight. But for now, Samsung not really interested in fights. Ocean Drake still sitting on the map untaken. It's kind of a freebie for KT for the longest time, but they've shown no priority on the Drake in the first 16 minutes.
Yep, just been ignoring it. So maybe we'll have somebody roll the dice a little bit later on. Just kill the Ocean Drake for the sake of seeing what comes afterward. Hope for something like a Mountain or an Infernal. Or maybe it'll just remain there all by itself for time or more.
Poor JJ feels there hasn't been any action bot lane. Whatever. Rush the Ardent Sensor on the Rakan. This is something that can be used against you. Prey and Gorilla able to do that against Wolf in the final, but right now, we're not seeing the hard engage. Honestly, I'd look at this and I think, okay, maybe we can take him down, but the turret is now down, so laning phase is ended. So now Rakan can just watch his movements, be a bit more defensive, and not just be burst down in the manner that we saw Wolf burst down a couple of times in Game 2 of the LCK final.
All right, well, gold lead being opened up just a little bit more now by the likes of KT Rolster. 2,000 ahead here at 17.5 minutes. Definitely not the most, damning gold lead. We saw Samsung with a significantly larger one around this point. They're in game number 2.
It's about the timing as well. It's slower than expected.
Yeah.
Ambition was able to succeed in keeping the turret up for a long time. Smeb never even was able to teleport bot lane. It's been farming. Will be very strong. Titanic Hydra and Black Cleaver should be finished, 23, 24 minutes. So still will do a lot of damage in fights, but if Samsung can keep playing defensive, have their flashes up, there'll be chunks, but there won't necessarily be kills for KT Rolster.
Yeah, he started to edge out ahead a little bit more there over QV. Of course, going up against the J4, feeling the pressure, builds up the Sunfire Cape. Try to mitigate some of that damage.
See a replay as, Score actually picked up the blue buff off screen there. That's unfortunate. Pawn had to flash as well. Thanks, OGM. We missed that one.
Yeah, we did.
It was about a minute and a half, 2 minutes ago.
Better late than never. As Ambition's going to jump in, look for a pick there on to Score. He's not going to find it, though. Samsung's starting to group up around the river, but seems like we'll just see Ruler and Core JJ going back down to bot to catch the wave, so maybe not going to have anything such as a Dragon being taken yet.
Interesting. Rush on Sunfire. So QV's priority when you see a Sunfire rush, rather than the Righteous Glory that we see on almost every game, is to have a bit more control of the wave. If an AD champion can itemize into Tiamat, he can go into Sunfire and just be able to try and shove.
We catch in on Namada. Not going to have a Blade Caller set up, however, so won't be able to get that root down. So just going to chunk out the cow a little bit.
Samsung just want to say, hey, it's 40 minutes. We've got 4 items on 2 super tanks, Orianna and Xayah. Let's win the game from there. But this is KT increasing the pace of the game. Nature's Grasp used.
Has been thrown down, and the Cataclysm comes down as well by Smeb. They're starting to smack him around, and Pawn didn't go forward with the Weaver's Wall.
I assume that was intentional. Well, I guess we need a replay to confirm. Is bot lane.
Ambition going to get locked up here. Coming through is going to pop the Let's Bounce, jumping to the side. Not going to be kidnapping anybody with him, but just gets himself out alive.
Back to wave clearing. Samsung's favorite story. Going back to this. I'm sure everyone enjoying non-interactive League of Legends. Ocean Drake lived a long time, but it seems like 20 minutes will be his end.
Makes me think of Jin Air.
2016 Jin Air.
Yeah. Let's go for the late game. Win after that. Ocean Drake will go down, and it's going to be the Infernal next. So the die roll comes up quite nicely.
Once again, the interview with, I believe it was QV, maybe it might have been Core JJ, about what it's like to play with Ambition is that everyone naturally thinks about what they do more, plays more defensive, relies in the process and understanding where the game will be late. And while it's not necessarily easy on the eye, it has been very effective. And Ambition has been a talisman for this team since he came in at the start of 2016 spring. And we thought that was all over when Haru was preferred in spring season. But kind of the craziest combination of events is that he didn't play in spring, got married, and then became a starter in summer. Like, that just sounds like a non sequitur or the start of a joke, but that's really what happened. And summer season has been very, very reliable, if not the high highs of Rengar exploding people when Haru was playing him almost exclusively in spring season.
Yeah, Ambition's been great. And I mean, it kind of makes you wonder, like, what's really going on? Because they said, Haru doing such a great job in scrims, but then isn't performing on stage all of a sudden, where before he was so instrumental to their success. So it's a bit of a bizarre occurrence for sure to see. But maybe Haru, once they get back over to, if they get back over the Worlds, I should say. Not when. Hasn't been confirmed yet. Maybe then he can step up his game and become, a bit more of a contender for that starting position.
He's most likely to go. Very unlikely to take Stitch or Wraith, you would think, so it would make sense for Haru to go. They took Wraith last year, I believe.
I'd be so upset if that was going to be the case.
Does give them a different element. He clearly is performing in scrims, but certainly not on stage. Well, we see finally a fight. You can tell Samsung, they're like, I'm good.
Well, they just kind of get the little love tap there onto Ambition with the charge. He's going to leap back in, but shorts it just slightly. And Core JJ doesn't need a grand entrance in on top of the Sejuani. So they'll just be hanging out for now.
What we're doing, hanging out with the OGN Legion. Could be the last time this year if Samsung can just pull it late, win some team fights. Haven't had sedate-paced games this season too much, with Jin Air turning into a much more aggressive team.
Ambition yet again walking in. This is very much more like Game 1 early game, where Ambition and Score were just kind of hanging around each other. Except now they're tanky and no one's going to die.
No game slow, and the only noise in the stadium is the sound of Maokai Sapling being thrown, no one reacting to anything. What it's building to, we don't quite know, but the items are certainly starting to roll in. Crown decided not just go full investment banker, and actually has gone for Leandro. Okay, this could be a pick.
Yeah, it's going to be the Featherstorm coming out here as Ruler tries to keep himself alive. Was able to take away the red buff. Denies that one away from Score. Seems like that's just going to be the end of it. KT just going to rotate over towards that mid lane. Maybe try to chunk out this turret, where it's already down to about 60%.
2 games in a row, we have not seen a considerable gold lead for KT. Remember that KT are the team to take big leads early. In spring season, they would often mismanage when they got a lot better with that in summer and were more consistent with a gold lead, even if they had KT spring moments. those moments just haven't come here. We have not seen the gold leads occur, and Samsung, as a rule, without Haru in the lineup, this is how they play. They play slow. They play like the epitome of what people, when they're being negative about Korean teams, think, oh, they play slow, they play calculated. That's what Samsung does. But to me, the biggest excitement from Samsung has been their draft phase. We talked about Game 1 and Game 2, their answering of the AP cannon, their insurance of going double-ranged in bot lane to allow the Zac to farm. The drafts have been very astute and intelligent on the blue side, which is something that already is a mini surprise of its own. And I know other people are going to be sad that we've seen a single kill in 24 minutes. I'm going to be heartened because I didn't really have realistic expectations of what Samsung were going into the playoffs or into the gauntlet, and I'm excited to see there are things to be interested in on the side of Samsung rather than their standard gameplay.
Yep, and again, it's going to be a big group up here around the mid lane. Ace in the hole going to be used on the ruler just to try to chunk him out a little bit. He's got limited life steal. The kills still be fine and go ahead and stick around and clear out the waves.
Two melee champions, even Caitlyn can't walk up to the wave, has to respect Flash Engage.
Oh, we've coming in, but Score has the dash away.
You know better than that, Achilles.
I didn't get that excited. I just went, oh, thought maybe we'd have something. Thought maybe they'd at least hit each other, but no.
No.
Too much mobility for that. That would be mildly fun. Mission's going to go in pretty deep here. Glacial Person coming down.
Okay.
There is going to absolutely annihilate Core JJ. Let's Bounce comes through, dragging him in towards the turret. He's going to get popped. Cell Division coming down, and Ruler still firing away from the back line, looking for a pick, but Ambition will get taken out in the end.
Smeb turning on Crown.
Underscore Crown, yeah, as you say, jumped onto the back line. Smeb trying to finish him off, and Cube now playing up into the front is just running straight into the threaded volleys here from Pawn. Locks him down, wants Ruler to join in and try to pick up these kills. Goes out the feathers, but won't be able to get them to go ahead and confirm the kill. So all in all, it's just going to be the 2-for-1 coming through. Samsung really not gaining a whole lot, nor is KT Rolster. They move forward just a slight little bit there with the trade up.
Yeah, trade up in kills. Smart lane assignment by KT. They pulled Orianna topside with the Talia, then just used Weave as well to mid lane. No way for Ori to be there early. It was always going to be late. Trade up in kills, and Maokai already unkillable in the fight. Ran out of mana very early, so wasn't able to be impactful. Like you say, KT don't turn it into more than a 2-for-1 kill trade. They don't get an objective from it. They aren't able to pick up a turret, but they do get wards around the Infernal. With the respawns, though, Smeb goes topside. They're going to have their wits around them, otherwise it'll be a free Infernal for Samsung.
Does have a TP ward placed inside the jungle if he wants to use it. Dragon's going to go ahead and get picked up by Samsung, and now the TP comes in, so a bit late. Ruler's going to spot this one out, and Samsung
Ruler's got nowhere to go.
Score's going to go ahead and push in. Ruler, as you say, going to get jumped on. Ace in the hole coming down. The Featherstorm will go ahead and help him avoid that damage. The Flag and Drag not going to find him, but he's locked into the Cataclysm. He's going to get jumped on. Headbutt Pulverized comes down, and he gets annihilated. Now Cuvée shoved back with a seismic shove. Will get picked off. 2 kills going through, both of them over to Smeb. All for the Infernal Drake, but KT Rolster, I think they're pretty satisfied.
Yeah, teleport wards weren't able to be used in the early game. This time, perfect spot. You saw Ruler accepting.
Oh, Shockwave comes in, and oh my god, Def just gets absolutely annihilated. Ambition sees that as the go button. He jumps in, but he's going to get denied back. But Samsung at least able to put one on the board for themselves.
And it's an important one. It's the only ranged auto attacker next to Talia on the team, so getting that objective after the kills once again eludes them. Crown able to pick up the kill. Have to wait for the replay to see if Def just walked onto the ball off, which is a command attack coming through from Crown, but without Flash. Had held his Shockwave a long time, wasn't able to use it, wasn't able to protect Ruler in the previous fight. But Samsung, they've got 2 ranged auto attackers. They will just rotate the Orianna topside.
Look at the slow up here on the ground. He's going to get booped back on the other side of the wall. No Shockwave available still for a little while here. But they're trying to finish off Pawn, but here comes Mana charging in. It's the headbutt pulverizes. Pawn has gone down. Do they have the damage to finish off Crown? He gets the command protected onto himself, but he's still going to get popped to score. Finds the kill, and now Ambition just in no man's land, all on his own. Some flashes over. The turret shot comes through, and Smeb follows up with the auto attack to take him down. So a bit of an overstay there from Crown and Ambition. They get punished quite heavily. But Samsung, in the meantime, are able to pick up the tier 1 in the mid lane, so it's not without any benefit.
It kills to the side of KT, but positive objective trades for Samsung Galaxy. Important for them to still be able to do something as 1 by 1 KT closed in topside, able to get the trade of kills on the mid laners as well. KT finally have been able to evolve where the game was at. The safe farming phase is over. Turrets will start to go down, and longer lanes is where Smeb can teleport in and put his massive Cataclysm damage to use. He has Titanic Hydra, Black Cleaver, and he can choose whichever spot gets the most damage because he has also the Gargo's Stoneplate to go with it. So KT extending the pace of the game, increasing the pace of the game is important for them because they were left with a defensive Samsung for 25 minutes, weren't able to do anything with it. This suits their game style a lot more.
Yeah, now going to be stretching up to a pretty considerable lead here. This Crown goes ahead and clears out the wave. So second turn acquired here from the side of KT Rolster. It's helping it move them forward as they currently find themselves about 3.6 thousand gold in the lead at 30 minutes. Baron Vision, you can see right now, going to be a bit of a hot commodities. They try to get in on top of Smeb. Here comes Ambition flying in from off the screen. Should be able to lock him down. Yeah, he is just not in a good spot. The flag and drag gets shorted, can't make it over the wall. He'll get picked off. And now Samsung might be looking for the Baron. They will start this one up, and Pawn is down in the bottom lane.
They're definitely going to start it to draw Pawn. Pawn will take a time to get there. Baron's down to 5,000. Nature's Grasp used. I think they might try to finish this, but we see Ambition and score around.
Oh, QV flashing in. Twisted Advance locks him down. The Baron will go over to Samsung, and just like that, they're right back into the game. They have the Baron buff. They can use that to pick up these turrets, get that standing gold. They try to even the score. Another one going down here in the mid lane. That final outer turret does fall. Now Ruler getting jumped on, flashes to the other side into the Raptor pit to keep himself alive. Juve might just be the sacrificial lamb as he just gets booped all the way back up the lane. Massive shield comes through, gets a nice arcane smash. It's just really buying time. And yeah, this is just Maokai thinks, oh my god.
They want to give it to Caitlyn, but they're stopping damage, which means he lives for basically forever. Crown's able to push up the minions and topside with the Baron buff. They had Vision down on the enemy blue side. Smeb felt like there was no way he'd be caught. He was the one who thought he would be deciding where the field of battle was, but 4 members came onto him. There was no defensive vision there because the vision line had timed out from KT Rolster. They get the maximum, they get the Baron because the Talia was bot side. And now they're still behind in gold. They do have the Baron to get more control of the map as the lanes will inevitably push out.
We're able to go ahead and knock down that top turret. Bottom still stands. So could be the rotation that we see from Samsung here, especially as QV gets ready to respawn. The wave's moving forward, but they see, they should know that Pawn is going to be in the vicinity. Seismic shove not quite going to connect onto him.
Death gap in, so the shield's already, like you can see, getting to the point. We're able to shrug off. One little round of damage from Pawn. Juve has teleport, so does Smeb, so we'll see the top laners in position. When it comes to teleport wards, pretty limited from both sides, honestly. Drake will be spawning in 50 seconds, a low priority one in the ocean.
Yeah, no vision too deep into the enemy territory. Mission going to get locked up, headbutt pulverize coming through, and he takes a ton of damage from Deft, so might just be the Zac going down. Gets the let's bounce over to the side, trying to keep himself alive, but doesn't have the flash
Meanwhile,
up yet. It's that slam together in the meantime, as you say, Ruler has fallen. Smeb just picking up the kill, and they'll go ahead and finish off Ambition. So just like that, 2 members going down on the side of Samsung. KT Rolster regained control.
Yeah, 2 really big kills on the corner of the screen. Smeb able to tussle with Ruler, had no flash up, and through heal, burst him like we mentioned. BF sword towards the Guardian Angel, already complete on Smeb. He's been on form on this Jarvan many times this season. We said he had to be the one to drag KT through. It took a lot longer than we would have thought. But KT, against Baron buff, is now knocking on the inhibitor turret.
Yeah, Crown doesn't have the shockwave, so dissuading them from taking this is going to be impossible for the side of Samsung. So turret going to fall down. KT looking to accelerate this game and maybe just close it out in the next few minutes here as the inhibitor does go down in mid lane. Inner turret and bottom as well being taken by Pawn. KT Rolster just sweeping across the map like a plague.
It's an understated shift in the game. It was so slow early that it seemed to fit Samsung's game plan. But even though it was 10 minutes later they would have wanted, KT is now piling on the objectives. Not to the finish line yet, whether it's this series or this game. Still work to be done. But KT has caught Samsung napping a couple of times. They have not been grouped as 5 like they were so frequently in Game 1 and Game 2. And Smeb has gotten his Assassin Jarvan on. And so far has been very effective. And against Baron buff, breaking the base is no trivial feat, mostly from the target selection from Smeb.
You know, this is one of those negative Baron power plays for Samsung.
And Smeb's feeling it, Kilios.
He's looking for it.
He's a monster. He has the Guardian Angel complete now and throwing a cheeky Warden's Mail on the side.
Not a whole lot to be afraid of if you're Smeb right now. He is quite strong, to say the least. CS per minute's been through the roof as well. 5-1-2. So 70% kill participation at the moment.
Vision's actually pushing up bot lane, just taking farm there. Not normal that we see a jungler doing that, but nothing to smite on the map, so free to take some side farm. Maokai's already reached his item threshold of relevance. You can load on a bit more tank stats, but we know what we're going to get from the Maokai, whereas getting some armor items onto Ambition is pretty big for Samsung.
Samsung working their way up through their own jungle. See the headshots there onto Cube, still going to be doing quite a bit of damage even onto the Maokai. Doesn't really have an avenue to get up into that top lane, deny that turret going down. In the meantime, TP's going to be called down here from Smeb. Mission to ground, kind of cut off here. Glacial Prison comes down into the flag and drag, and the Orianna just gets absolutely popped. Now the rest of Samsung have to head for the hills, but the Cataclysm has them locked in. Kidnap from the Let's Bounce, draws them to the side, but it's mostly used for Ambition to try to make it out of the fight. But over the wall comes multiple members of KT trying to take this fight, trying to knock down the tankier members of Samsung. Can't quite get through the Maokai or the Zac. They will be able to retreat back over towards the fountain, but Summoner Spells used, Crown going down, and KT will continue knocking down structures and maybe even find themselves another inhibitor.
Yeah, the teleports from Smeb have been massive. Ruler had his summoners up, but obviously had to walk away, turned onto Crown. Just as good target selection, Orianna or the Zai, whichever you can get is fine. Going to be the second inhibitor turret going down, second inhibitor going down, and KT Rolster are getting it done, Achilles. They're close to winning Game 3.
They're really looking for it here. Samsung at this point pretty much need a miracle to try to draw this one back in. The 4K Elo Shockwave from Crown perhaps, but even then, not sure if it would be enough. Trade back some structures, maybe get an inhibitor. But outside of that, they find themselves in a pretty vast deficit as far as the gold is concerned.
The 4-man Shockwave is already a lot to ask for, but consider that they're against a Warmog's Gargo Stoneplate, a Locket Sejuani, who can, instead of being like a Cho'Gath, just pop the Stoneplate and then get the percentage health scaling on the shield, get it to a massive, incredible number, and negate even a huge Shockwave in its tracks. There is the ability for Score to press a button and answer Orianna just with his item build. We asked for this item build earlier in the season, didn't see it when the health scaling was just introduced onto the Locket, but it answers the Orianna very, very aptly. So drawing out cooldowns, making things work, and somehow ignoring a monster Jarvan 4 is a lot to ask from Samsung.
Well, the Baron spawning in 15 seconds, likely going to be the battleground for that final fight, what could be the final fight, I should say. As KT are pretty poised to go ahead and close out this game number 3. Denying the vision away from Samsung outside of the base. They have the minions pushing up. Super creeps there in the mid, in the top. Wave moved forward in bottom lane. Ruler will have a decent bit of wave clear. Still can't be pushing too far forward into the face of Deft.
Baron is on the map as well, so KT could fall back to that if they want, but they want to avoid the Baron. They just want to go for the third and final inhibitor turret.
Yeah, Weaver's Wall thrown down just to cut them off. No way to defend this one. So, turret going to go down, inhibitor likely to follow shortly thereafter. Ruler taking quite a bit of damage. Ace in the hole comes out. QA has the body block, but now Score going forward. Gets the Glacial Prison down in on the ground, who flashes away to keep himself alive into the back of the fight. Still has the Shockwave. Is looking for the opportunity. Throws out the ball, still hasn't found a moment for it. Smeb will get his GA pop. Samsung going to try to turn this one around. Crown finally throws it down, finds Pawn. They get the Blade Caller in on the Score, and he has to retreat. So far, nobody going down. Core JJ able to limp his way back over to the fountain to keep himself alive, but the inhibitor will still fall. So KT, they trade Pawn's life for that final inhib, but mid has respawned.
And you see what Samsung's teamfight comp can do in the late game, but because of getting all the inhibitors, does it matter, Achilles? Is the question you have to raise. A perfect fight, but they don't have the damage yet, even at 5 items on the Xayah, not puncturing through Smeb and Score like he needs to, and KT can shrug off a single loss and return to the turret.
Look at this.
Seeing Samsung walk over to the Baron, they want to try and take it against the flow as a duo. It's creative stuff from Ruler and Core JJ, but it's going to be notable. KT going to be asking, wait, where is the duo lane?
He's taking quite a bit of damage there, Core JJ, but now Ambition going to be arriving. They try to get this one taken care of. Gets the pop-up, and that's going to be the Baron going over to Samsung yet again. But there's still multiple members inside their base trying to take that final inhib. They do knock it down. So yet again, going to be 3 full waves, 3 full lanes of Super Creeps going to be piling in.
And they're trying to collapse here.
Yeah, Core JJ and Ambition not likely to make it out of here with their lives, at least not Ambition. He's going to pop the Let's Bounce, go over the wall to try to get himself some distance, just to cast that recall animation. But to no avail. Cell Division will get popped. He will go down as Pawn takes the kill.
Creative stuff from Samsung, though. Picking up the Baron means they can push up minion waves, even against Tillia Caitlyn, pretty well, and buy time. Now, is it going to be time towards a victory? You'd think not, given how much KT have taken, but how many teams in that case would make a shot call like that, pull off a Baron? About as against the players you could ever hope for. 7,000 gold behind your opponent. Would have been about 8 or 9 when it was taken. I turn on to the Elder Dragon here, which will most likely be a freebie for KT. But Samsung not giving this one up without a fight, and we've already noted if they can draw out cooldowns with their scaling, there is still a team fight late in the game they could win. It just shouldn't be made available with how strong KT is right now. This game should not go 55 minutes.
Yeah. They also really need to get those inhibitors back up. I think all 3 waves crashing into them. Now, with a double Dragon buff coming through off the Elder for KT, means that Samsung defending this base is going to be quite difficult, to say the least. First Nexus turret has already suffered quite a bit of damage as well.
And Crown's farm has had a bumper crop this year. Look at this, 437 CS at 40 minutes, somehow joined by Xayah at 420 herself. So massive CS advantages there. Notable that Smeb also has a good advantage over his opponent, though. No one has wanted to lane anywhere near the Jarvan. There's no free farm when he's around.
CSing's been fine. They just need the team fighting to go their way, but given how far behind they've been, it just makes it that much more difficult. They need to still buy some more time for themselves here as we are approaching 41 minutes, so could yet again be a rather long game.
And it kind of has to be 2, right? It kind of has to be 2 fights because they're probably not going to win the game unless they ace. If they get 5 for 0, maybe you can just roll down with 60-second death timers and make it work, but conventional logic would suggest it will take multiple team fights, and it's the more difficult thing to pull off if you're Samsung Galaxy. Want to keep their inhibitors up as well, but
yeah, first things first, need to focus on this. Trying to gate Smeb away from the only inhibitor that's currently standing. The Weaver's Wall is going to come down, and Cube, he'll be cut off all on his lonesome.
It's time for non-interactive stuff from KT. They don't need to fight. They can just push up minion waves, get advantages, and force Samsung into bad decisions. Cube taking a lot of free damage. That's 3 inhibitors down again.
Yeah, he'll get locked up. Now it's just going to be the Super Creeps moving forward in onto these Nexus turrets. Won't take very long. Couple shots from depth to finish off this first one, as they desperately try to clear out these minions on the side of Samsung.
Waiting for the group minion waves to push in. Here comes the mid lane minion wave as well. Only really Caitlyn that can auto-attack. Talia does not want to be looking for auto-attacks, more about zoning. That's why they're getting very slow damage. Okay, isn't engaged.
Or JJ going in, gets the pop-up in on the score. Will be charming them with a quickness. You can see not a whole lot of damage being taken from the side of the Sejuani. Finally gets knocked down quite a bit, but the shielding will just help keep her alive. And that's going to be Cube and Core JJ having to go back over to the base as these Super Creeps get closer and closer to the turret. Crown able to mitigate the damage from the ace in the hole, but now it's Caitlyn opening up in onto this turret. Mission goes low, has to get himself out of there. Let's bounce, not going to find anybody. Retreats back to the fountain. The turrets are still yet again under siege. Nature's Grasp going to lock down pretty much everybody, but no one is there to follow up. The Shockwave will come down, takes Pawn rather low, but they haven't been able to finish him off yet. He successfully retreats to keep himself alive on the backside of the fight. This buys a little bit of breathing room for Samsung to just go ahead and worry about these Super Creeps.
Yeah, KT has to consider disengaging. Death's able to move back full health still, but taking down those Nexus turrets is proving difficult for the side of KT Rolster with their limited range. A return here, a teamfight victory for Samsung. Doesn't reap any kills, but reaps them extra time to get towards 6 items on everyone. And making these Jarvan dives is so much harder when you're not playing around long terrain. It's almost like KT wants to ward up the red side jungle and force them to respond to a Baron. And if you're Samsung, maybe you consider giving up Baron, because the only place where things are narrow enough they're making their comp work is actually around their own Nexus.
It's a tough call to make. Just surrender the Baron. It's one that they might have to do, as it's going to be spawning at about 1:55, so they have that much time to think about it. But for now, pressure alleviated. They do have their mid and bottom inhibitors respawn, but KT, you can see, they want to go ahead and already start taking care of that. Try and deny these away, distract Samsung, and make it that much harder for them to push outside of the base and contest that Baron.
And that's the thing, is that if you're KT, if you keep the minion waves pushing in for the entirety of the Baron buff being down, or even the entirety of an inhibitor respawning, you know for a fact that there is going to be no vision placed around the Baron when it comes time to take it. Double scrying orb from Samsung, only one available right now, but by the time Baron spawns, they'll have two. Looking at the gold numbers, gold leads for both mid lane and bot lane for the side of Samsung, but a huge lead, 4,000 gold lead for Smeb in the top side.
Yeah, he's been just destroying an absolute monster here.
Nice headbutt.
Going in, yeah, headbutt will go ahead and deny that one, but they're going to pop up on the score, ripping him apart. Is Ruler here with full item build. Outside of the boots, hasn't been able to sell those yet to pick up something like a Phantom Dancer.
It's the first time we've seen pause from Smeb, but looked at how much damage Score said and like, maybe I can't tank 5 people for any length of times. Doesn't look for the aggressive headbutt pulverize. KT's job is to take down the inhibitor again, but you notice that they choose to fight this to Samsung.
Yeah, they're going to be going in here. Ambition trying to get into the back line. Core JJ goes through, has the quickness, just trying to taunt up everybody that he can. His depth goes down to about half HP, but he's going to be healing off these auto attacks and onto Ambition in the meantime. Now Smeb flag and drag goes through, finds the lockdown onto Crown, tries to get the pop onto the Orianna as the Cataclysm comes in. He's got the flash, but just holds on to it. Instead, we'll just go ahead and pop the GA up the J4.
It's Ruler!
Now Cube going in, first kill comes through his Ruler, gets rid of Mana, the TP, keeping the Zac alive, but that headshot crit will take him down, but it's 2 members dead. As you say, Smeb will fall, and Samsung yet again hold on.
That team fighting is so strong in the late game as a team, but also with this particular team comp, Smeb or Deft is being zoned out of doing damage. Each fight, they take turns not being able to do damage. We saw the backdoor of the Baron, I guess you would say, by Samsung at the last spawn.
They're going for it.
It's going to be a pretty simple one for KT. Samsung have never got this far since they stole the previous Baron. See a couple people walking up, but it's going to be free Baron for KT.
They will go ahead and take that one away. So buys them that much pushing pressure. But Samsung, you can tell they are fighting tooth and nail to keep themselves in this game.
And craziest thing, Achilles, no flash used by Crown, no flash used by Ruler, and Guardian Angel had to be blown by Smeb. So they never felt enough respect or enough threat to actually have to use their flashes. It means they can take the next fight, and there will be flashes back up on KT. But to not even get a summoner lead from KT is a really big head scratcher. You're seeing how strong late game super tanks with a casual extra 800 health. And remember, all those extra shields are also affected by armor and magic resist. Unkillable Maokai, unkillable Zac, and the threat's still there from Orianna and Xayah.
Yeah, now all 3 inhibitors have respawned. Massive wave in the bottom lane pushing for Samsung. That's going to have to be responded to. You can see Smeb working his way down. Go ahead and clear that out. Continue the pressure with this Baron buff.
They did all the hard work this time, Achilles. There was none of those snafus that happened in Game 1 and Game 2 in the laning phase. This has been more of what KT wanted to do. Slower than expected, but still, slow and steady is the way they would have justified it to themselves. Now they have the Baron. They are still strong. The last 2 or 3 team fights have gone the way of Samsung, and KT haven't found a way to avoid team fighting against Samsung, because eventually you push up to the Nexus turrets, and that's the only time when Samsung presses the go button.
Full 6 items completed here for Deft. Has sold his boots. Looks to be doing it the maximum amount of damage. Ruler in the meantime
crit.
still holding on to his.
Showing the 100% crit there was the Observer.
Just for the hell of it.
He's a beast. Play the Ruin King on Caitlyn, not common, but necessary. Ruler tanks it up, okay.
All right, well, Weaver's Wall is going to be thrown down, but there's no real way for them to get in there. Pawn's not cutting anybody off, and there's just no way for them to really push into the members of Samsung, given the summoner spells are all available.
But we saw 3 or 4 Weaver's Walls in a row where Samsung had to move back. They're only moving forward now. They're fighting. There's no more free lunches for KT Rolster. Ruler, the biggest one to deny that. He still has his boots.
He's holding on to those, but you can see every shot in onto this inhibitor. Taking it lower and lower. Deft doing so much damage with this Caitlyn at the moment. Samsung has to be so very cautious of him. And also have the split pressure and full court press coming through from KT. They want to go ahead and try to scoop up every single one of these inhibitors yet again. For the wall, to pop up there on the score, but immediately dips out to score JJ.
KT have been told, do not group as 5. Don't give the 5v5 to the side of Samsung. That's why they're playing the side lanes. They draw Orianna. Talia just walks back mid lane, but it's back to 5v5 territory. It's not what they want!
Or JJ going in, looking for the pop-up, finds it on the pawn, and Ambition goes forward as well. Will be denied. You can see the damage coming out from depth, just chunking him out. Go ahead, eat the ace in the hole, keep himself alive, but the bottom inhibitor has fallen in the meantime. And now it's looking like mid might do the same. A couple more shots to finish it off, but KT yet again feeling the pressure, do have to go ahead and draw back.
Better attention to the minion waves by KT. Have forced those false decisions by Samsung. Get at least one inhibitor for free. Can't quite finish a second one. But you can see
that's Baron
how
expiring.
much of a tug of war this is. This must be mentally exhausting for the members of KT. For Samsung as well, but they've done this before. They set up to do it in their drafts so far today, where they have been happy to give relentless pressure advantages away to KT and just play defensively. And KT have to fight so hard to close out a game that was looking straightforward 15 to 20 minutes ago. And now they can't even guarantee that they'll win game 3.
They can't. It has suddenly become pretty much neck and neck despite the lack of structure takes here for the side of Samsung.
They know Tilly is not here, so they're trying to do something, but that means they're going to lose the inhibitor guarantee. They have to engage.
They have to win this fight, but Smeb flag and drags his way out to safety. Score still holding on to the Glacial Prison. Could find an opening in onto Ruler.
They're taking away 2, so it's only 3 in mid lane. They're actually outnumbered.
Crown and Ambition have kited up. They're going to go ahead and try to get rid of Pawn.
Interrupted Tilly's Weaver's Wall.
Yeah, it seems like they'll go ahead. They'll kill him off. But now they need to fire back. They need something to go their way. You see KT, they're picking out the Elder Dragon. They're going to go ahead and snatch this up for themselves yet again. Samsung are closing in. Scrying Orb coming down. And that's going to be KT having to go ahead and get the hell out of Dodge. Super Creeps are pushing into the base. Somebody's going to have to go back to try to answer this one as they finish this off.
Samsung need a way to get an inhibitor of their own, and KT drawing them to the Elder Dragon stops their inner turrets going up. There's still 3 damn inner turrets up at 51 minutes for KT Rolster, because Samsung have never been there. It's uncharted waters for them.
They haven't killed the bot tier 1.
No, exactly. This is all terrain they have not been able to visit this game. Such has been the length of the game. It has been played in their base, but little bits of inspiration, like for example Ruler and Core JJ taking a Baron that had no right of getting. Insane Baron decision. It would have been laughable if it went wrong, but it went right. It bought time, it bought time. It bought time to this, and it's bought time to KT, still having the easier route to victory. They can play in multiple lanes, and invariably they will take 1, 2 inhibitors. They got 2 here. But now, how do you finish the game? Now, how do you actually avoid fighting and take the Nexus turrets, because the Nexus turrets have been where Samsung have most frustrated KT Rolster.
Might be just a fight at the Baron that could decide it all. Going to be spawning yet again in about a minute. And, you know, maybe we'll just break the record again here, Papa Smithy. See how long we can take this on. But already at 52 minutes.
Well,
on the line, KT not wanting to screw this up.
Let me introduce you to 6-item no boots Orianna. That's happening on the Rift now.
As well as 6-item no boots Xayah. So it's just going to be all of the damage. Plus that Elder Dragon buff coming through is going to be quite nice for him.
It's only a single locket on the side of KT, so that's why the target acquisition for Samsung is actually Force Locket or Stone Plate out of the Sejuani. Alistair has one as well, but doesn't have quite the same beef behind him. But drawing an early... Yeah, you can't milk those, etc. But drawing the locket out of the Alistair and Sejuani, even one of them, is so big given that they have an Orianna who is a Shockwave bot, a shield bot, and no movement ability.
Ambition is just taking so much damage. Something like a Thornmail right about now might be great.
Well, there's been a lot of Barons this game, and this one should be KT's again. Weaver's Wall just to disengage it. Baron gets more and more tanky, so even with immense amount of damage on KT, will eventually fall.
Yeah, not even an attempt to steal there. Samsung just needing to respond to the waves, and Ambition was just too low to even try to go for something like a drive-by.
I guess he's working towards Randuin's with this one. I guess it could be a Warmogs as well.
I would expect that he wants more armor, given how much he's taken from Caitlyn, so I think Randowins is probably the right call.
It's no boots life for both of the mid laners now. Talia also sacking the Merc Treads. Lichbane Talia.
Yep, Lichbane Talia, Lichbane Orianna.
It's got movement speed and, well,
it does damage.
Certainly does. The burst there. The auto attacks will be big.
Well, even with the Baron buff, Ruler able to clear out these waves with relative ease.
However, Evil's definitely looking at this, thinking Nashor's and Lichbane. There's my Orianna build choice. But okay, play the side lanes, KT Rolster. This should be a game. Mana takes casually half his health.
Squishy cow. Got that ultimate up. Snowball has been used by Def, trying to get the poke out. Ambition over the wall, trying to get the leap in. Not going to get the pop-up onto the Caitlyn as they try to dive into the backcourt. JJ goes through with the quickness. It's charmed down, but overall there's not going to be a whole lot of follow-up, and this seems like a pretty familiar situation. Smeb in the bottom lane, 3 here in the mid.
Can you believe it's been long enough for the inhibitor to respawn since the last time Smeb took a inhibitor while we were watching action in mid lane, but it's been rinse repeat. It's like we've been watching this game on repeat. Samsung want that fight. They want to get a single kill. Unable to do it so far. Weaver's well used. Ruler's exposed.
Yeah, he has to go up with a Feather Storm, trying to keep himself alive. Still goes low. Gets the regen coming through, and Smeb will not get the knock-up. Now Nature's Grasp rolling through, but Ruler and Crown need to be delivering the damage to try to turn this fight around. The Shockwave still has not been used. Cube still in the fight, somehow has not died, despite just sitting in front for so very long. Cataclysm into the ace in the hole. The Shockwave gets thrown down. They find a kill in onto Smeb. The first one to fall, and the rest of Samsung still make it out with their lives.
In the late game, these Courage of the Colossus procs are just off the charts. They're massive. Every time you think someone's going to fall, a shield, a Courage of the Colossus shield comes in, and no one will die. They don't even get the inhibitor this time. This time they have 3 inhibitors. Are we finally going to see Samsung leave their base and pose a threat? How long? What is the record for the longest outer bot lane turret living? It's 56 minutes. The things this turret has seen.
It's got to be. This has to be the record. I cannot expect a game going longer without the outer turrets falling. Right now, Samsung are just hanging on by a thread. But this is one of the most heroic defenses I have ever seen in League of Legends.
I don't think anyone comes through to game 4 if KT win. The same thing is you have to be tilted. You have to be. I'm tilted watching for KT Rolster. That they just haven't been able to close. They eventually realized their mistakes and played side lanes, but even that only went to a point. And when your engage is guaranteed in Maokai and also so opportunistic in the Zac, there's so many things to respect. They've been trading down a little bit each time. Samsung have been playing this tower defense to an insane degree, and somehow it feels like everything's equal. The gold lead's basically the same. It's only 4,000 gold.
Yeah, and at 57 minutes just about, it's not going to matter whatsoever. So I don't even know what to think anymore. What is going to be the deciding factor here? Because it seems like neither team wants to fight over anything unless it's the inhibitors inside of Samsung's base. Elder Dragon, Baron, so be it. You just take it if it's there, if you're in the vicinity. Otherwise, it's just all about the base, where, yet again, all 3 inhibitors have respawned for Samsung.
I mean, 40 AD and AP, the Baron buff stats, it means so much at 20 minutes. It means a lot at 30 minutes, but at 1 hour, it doesn't really mean anything, Achilles. It doesn't help you kill Ultra Tank, Maokai, or Zac. It's obviously better than not having it, but it's not that massive. They feel like they can give it up again and again if they're Samsung. Just a couple of spells used.
Yep, Core JJ just going to go ahead, get some shielding, keep himself safe.
It's probably the first time for 35 minutes the minion waves haven't been just owning Samsung Galaxy, but they're coming from multiple angles.
Fisher not going to find the lockdown. Crown has the Banshee's Veil. It's going to be an all-out brawl. Smeb goes in rather deep, but he is just going to get popped. Core JJ finds the fight. Double delivery coming through, and that might just be it. Ruler finds the kill. Mana's going to go down. 3 members dead. Samsung pushing in, now looking for Pawn. Not going to get the knock-up, but he is still all on his lonesome in the mid lane. Score tries to poke in from the sidelines, but they have him. Ruler finds the kill. 13-13. Samsung are going to knock down the turret here in the mid lane. A Score tries to proxy the way, but they're still going to go for the win. Cuvée, he is beefy. He is tanky. They might be able to do it right here, Papa Smithy.
Captain Jack be damned. This might be the greatest base defense in the history of League of Legends. How did they do it for this long? They can brute forward through. There's no Death Timers available here. KT is too long.
I
think
can't
Samsung's gonna
believe
do it.
They've actually done it. They're gonna knock down the turrets. Samsung Galaxy will beat KT Rolster. A 3-0 victory score. Does his damnedest to stop it, but there's just no avail. He will fail. The Nexus will crumble, and Samsung Galaxy are going to Worlds alongside SK Telecom and Longshu Gaming.
One year later, Achilles, the scenes are the same. Samsung elated, KT Rolster eliminated is what we see here in the LCK. How fitting it was that who was the one flailing, trying to keep it going at the end, but Score, who was the only player for KT Rolster involved on both those nights. September 3rd, 2016, now September 2nd, 2017. Are the darkest night for the KT organization because they rolled on everything for KT to make it to Worlds, to be a champion. They shot for World Finals. They shot for being the best in the world, and they didn't even make it there, Achilles. These superstars, Mada on your screen, shattered. 4 of them, only Score. Missed out on Worlds last year. They miss out again, the sinking feeling they may never be able to climb out of. And Achilles, we may never see this KT Rolster lineup ever play as 5 again.
We might not. Denied by SK Telecom twice. 1 in victory, 1 in loss to Longshu, and now by Samsung yet again, almost a year later on the day. No Kuro, no Smeb at Worlds. Peanut, Prey, and Gorilla. They will be the 3 members of the Rocks Tigers of 2016 representing Korea at the World Championship, but the rest of them don't make it.
And people for the longest time in summer season in 2017 haven't known what to make of Samsung Galaxy. We thought they would push on from being the surprise 3rd team at Worlds, from making World Finals, going a single game away from winning the tournament, but they didn't in the regular season in spring or summer. They had good moments, but it hit playoffs, and Samsung went out in straight sets twice. And then we see them come in here, 2 games down to a Freak of Freaks, reverse sweeping with ambition, and now sweeping KT Rolster 3-0. The resilience they've shown here, that will be the thing that defines Samsung when they go to Worlds, is resilience, is control, is never giving up, because the base was in tatters again and again. The amount of inhibitors taken by KT Rolster would have hit double digits, and yet Samsung never gave away the maximum. They always said, you guys get 2 inhibitors, but you're not getting a Nexus turret. You get this, but we're taking a Baron behind your back. And we see the damage numbers.
God, look at this damage.
87,000 damage coming through.
58 minutes.
From
59,
Zaya.
basically.
He's able to push it out, and everyone else was a guest star. Everyone else was just peeling. The courage of the Colossus tanks. Imagine the damage taken charts for Maokai and Zac off the charts. And KT, even when things went their way, no solo deaths in the early game, things looking so much sweeter for them in Game 3, couldn't get a single victory, Achilles. The KT Rolster roller coaster has collapsed. The roller coaster has gone off the tracks. Score will not be at Worlds. Like you say, the Rocks Tigers' dream has ended when it comes to Kuro and Smeb. We don't even know if Peanut will be the substitute player for SK Telecom, but we'll focus on the now. And Longshu Gaming go through 1st seed, SK Telecom on circuit points, and Samsung Galaxy, amazingly, qualify as 3rd.
One of the best regional qualifiers I've seen across any region. The most heroic defenses. We'll go ahead and get a look at this last fight from the game that led to their victory.
And by the end of the game, Smeb, the ultra damage dealer, those damage items were tank items on the side of Samsung Galaxy, and by the end, with shields thrown in, lockets, redemptions, everything, he didn't have the damage to puncture the backline, and we saw in the base they couldn't take 5v5s. Samsung fought for 30 minutes to actually be able to push out without super minions pushing in top, without super minions pushing in bot. They finally got their spot. They got the team fight they wanted, and they punched their tickets to Worlds in just the most amazing game. It was a long one. It definitely was boring for some people, but for people who can appreciate how much you need to be together as a team to not lose this game, at the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th time they were knocking on the Nexus turrets, it was heroic from Samsung.
I mean, not only that, but to stay focused through 2 nearly 60-plus minute long games and a long pause at the start of Game 2. and then be able to hold out a defense like this where other teams, other players would give up mentally in this game and look forward to game number 4. That is just a mental fortitude that Samsung Galaxy are putting on display for the world to see, because I have never seen